in a desperate situation. Desperate situation. Stealing, burning, fighting, killing, nothing but corruption. It looks like mankind is on the eve of destruction.
Yes, it is, family. Tuesday. Attitude of gratitude. What you happy for? What you thankful for? October the 8th, 2013. Need some love, y'all. First, giving honor to the creator of this universe and all that inhabits it, and to my mother, Shirley Hardy, the elder in my life. I greet you all in love and kindness. You are tuned into Health Talk, Health Wise. What's your illusion? What's your reality? Conscious Healthcare Talk with Dr. K and friends right here on the airwaves of Inner Light Radio, the healing frequency. Our focus is with the 3 C's in life: choices, chances, and changes. You must make a choice to take a chance or your life will never change. You are listening to a live broadcast. You can email your questions or comments to innerlightradio@yahoo.com. That's innerlightradio@yahoo.com. You can call in with your positive conversation to share 310-928-7733. That's 310-928-7733. We do ask that you mute your phone, and I will announce you to join the conversation by your number. I'm Dr. Karen Davis-Foulks. They call me Dr. K. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into this show. You know, on this show, we honor all who have and all that will emancipate from medical mental slavery. Our message is health is all about consciousness, and healing is a function of consciousness. So we want to welcome you to the Wellness Checkpoint. Now it's time to check the pulse of your thoughts. My regular friends that join me in the chat room: Wanda Whitaker, Anchored in Spirit, Pacifica, California; Rachel Pope with Let's Talk Wisdom, Blessings, Flow, and Power. And our special guest tonight is David Hurt, the Wizard. David is joining us, and he's going to share insights from the planets, the stars, and beyond. So call in for your astrology reading, and maybe he has a couple of questions that he's going to ask that was sent out to him earlier. So we want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to take a commercial and come back and start the show.
This October, join Gallery 1307 and take an inner journey of creativity, art, and healing with 2 great events: the Arts Cafe and Art with Mozart. The Arts Cafe features spoken word, healing crystal singing bowls, music with positive lyrical content, an open mic featuring local talent, a healing arts gallery, and live art. For the open mic segment, bring your voice, instrument, or spoken word piece for a boost of pure positive energy. Engage with visual artists and meet alternative healers, massage therapists, astrologers, and intuitives. Enjoy the display of art by Wanda K. Whitaker and Paula Hobsoncourt. Admission is $5 with great gifts of ISIS door prizes. Then, the next week, on Sunday, October 27th, celebrate Mercury retrograde and awaken the artist within you with Art with Mozart. Listen to Mozart music and bring your favorite drink as you create your favorite work of art on your favorite medium through instruction and inner visualization. That's Sunday, October 20th, the Arts Cafe, and Sunday, October 27th, Art with Mozart, from 2 to 5 p.m. at Gallery 1307, located at 1307 Fillmore Street in San Francisco, California. Plenty of street and public parking available. For more information, visit www.anchoredinspirit.com. That's www.anchoredinspirit.com.
Anchored in Spirit. Normally at this time I'll be saying, "What's up, Wanda?" She'll be saying Anchored in Spirit. Wanda is a visionary artist, and she is having an Inner Journey Health Forum tonight in San Francisco. So let me just read this so I can tell you where Wanda is tonight. For anybody that want to come out there and join her. It's all a part of this show and what we have been talking about. So Wanda is in the community talking about the self-care revolution and moving from disease care to conscious self-health care at the Inner Journey Health Forum. The event is free. So if you're interested in hearing about this movement and hearing stories about others who shifted their consciousness and are taking responsibility for their health, you are welcome to participate. Healthcare starts with knowing and with the knowledge of taking responsibility for your own health. So we want to thank Wanda for doing that out in San Francisco, California. It is tonight at Gallery 1307, located at 1307 Fillmore Street, and it is from 7 to 9 p.m. So she's having the unveiling of the beautiful print, Emancipate Yourself from Medical Mental Slavery. And you can go to my website, forsellelife.com, and see this print. It's all about a we energy connecting us all together to know that, this is a divine body and we are in control of our own health care and we are responsible for this body. And we're sharing information as to how you can do that and leave disease care behind back in the dark ages of healthcare. And so we're so thankful for Wanda for doing that. I will be Skyped in tonight, which would be my time in Washington, D.C. About 10 o'clock. I'll be Skyped in to share the conscious self-healthcare movement from the Washington, D.C. area and around this region that we're doing here to meet up with the people in California. And so if you are interested in doing the same thing, having a panel discussion to awaken the community to conscious self-healthcare, then you can give me a call, visit the website forsellelife.com, give me a call and come be a part of this conscious movement so we can bury disease thinking.
So you got 3 bars this year, might have to use that.
How you been doing, Rach?
Oh, I am doing wonderfully. I just feel like I'm being planted solid as a root of a tree, just spreading good news and just being good to everybody else, And you saw me in action. I was rolling for 2 days. I really, I got called off a couple of times at the health fair, but it was all good. But, that energy and the people was coming in there and said, "What is this?" I said, "It's the secret." That's why that bed didn't know by the 3rd floor.
I know. So Rachel was up on the 3rd floor. So what Rachel is talking about, and which this is good because we haven't done an event together, I think, in probably about 5 or 6 or 7 months. Right. And so I went to do a health fair with Rachel at Springfield Church in Washington, D.C. Northwest. Rachel was upstairs and she had the whole place set up for relaxation. She had her bed there, amethyst bed, and it was wonderful. But the thing about it, Rachel, you've been doing this for 4 years. And, we have our collective relationship here. And when I got there, I felt like I had been there the whole time. Everybody knew me. They were talking to me. They couldn't wait for me to come there. So you're the conscious self-health care lady. And Rachel was telling me about you. And I got the emancipation print. And, and we're so glad you're here to talk to you. So it was really welcoming to hear and speak. And so by me coming there with Hallelujah Acres, I'm a health minister for Hallelujah Acres. So when I do go to places and churches and places like this, I bring that material with me to fit into the environment when I share the truth about health care. And it was so warming to hear the people welcoming to want to come in and embrace a better way of taking care of themselves through the Bible.
Yes,
so that was fun.
They needed it because I was talking about you all the other years and I had your information there. And then finally, when I know there was the elder, this lady who was there before, and I let her know. I said, she's downstairs. Remember the lady I talked to you guys about, because I was doing like a little group session so I can have people to go on downstairs while I treat each person individually. But I really enjoyed it this year, and finally I left out on time. That was a major goal for me.
I know, because you always the last one to leave, because people be trying to get that massage into the last minute.
Yes.
And so, because that's how tired we are. That's what kind of rest we need. And so, David is online. David is going to join us tonight. And so we have come through so many kinds of energy vortexes. And so now we're coming into a new one. And I think everybody needs to be relaxed, because that's what Manuel was talking about. So I can't wait to hear what David is going to share with us. So we're going to just take a quick break and bring David back in so we don't have to stop too often while David is talking. So we're going to take another commercial break now. And because, we got people calling in. I already got 3 people that giving me their birthdays for David to give astrology talk, because they are on the conference line, so they can't communicate. So they done gave me the birthday, so they want David to talk to them. So
I got 5 people confirmed for the meetup listening by internet.
Okay, so that's cool. So we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk to David Hurt, the Wizard. Are you at your wit's end because there seems to be no solution to your healthcare problem? Is it okay for me to say to you that you can have peace of mind? Take back control of your health. Are you experiencing anxiety, arthritis, diabetes, cancer, fibromyalgia, high blood pressure, lupus, chronic fatigue syndrome, any fictitious disease? Whatever your symptoms or diagnoses are, there is a conscious solution to transform the cause of your pain, not treat symptoms or mask it. No prescription medication, no over-the-counter drugs, no organs removed are required. Take back control of your health by the renewing of your mind. You can create wellness today. Contact Dr. K, 202-248-7749. Visit us on the web, www.celllife.com. That's right, family. You tune in to Health Talk Health Wise. What's your illusion? What's your reality? Conscious Healthcare Talk with Dr. K and friends right here on the airwaves of Inner Light Radio. We have a special guest with us joining us, David. He is so live. I guess he can't mute his phone, so we was hearing all of David's conversation. David Hurt, the Wizard, is back with us. So, David, I know we got a lot of requests for you tonight. We got some astrology, the readings that people have asked for. And then I know I sent you a question earlier where somebody said, asked David what he sees about the current political situation in House Speaker John Boehner's horoscope versus Obama's. So I don't know, David, which way you want to come tonight?
Let's get the political people out the way first.
Okay, let's do that, David. But David, welcome. Introduce yourself to our new listening audience, David, and tell everybody who you are.
Be back here with all you live people.
Look, I'm just acting like everybody know you, David. So, David, we got some new listeners on the line. So, introduce yourself to everybody and tell us what's going on between these two political candidates.
Okay, I'm David Hurt, alias the Wizard. From up here at ISE, Minister of Spiritual Science, and been practicing astrology for forever. So I know a little bit about it, and I hope to drop some pearls on you and give you some insight about the times and yourself. Ready to go? Take off?
Take off, David. It's all yours. Go ahead.
The question that you sent in about the current political situation, I thought about that long and hard because I'm pretty apolitical myself. I don't get a whole lot into politics, and people get pretty sensitive when you start talking about it, and I don't want to destroy your program with everybody hollering across the phone.
Well, I felt like you, before you get started, David, I felt like you too when it came across, because everybody know I don't talk politics, but I'm going to let this one ride out for the community.
Right. Well, it's not really going to. I'm not going to give it a political spin because it's more about if, especially females, you can probably identify with this more than guys because we don't recognize what we're doing. But if you ever heard two guys talk about sports, whatever their sport is, basketball, baseball, football, and how carried away they get because it's personal to them. And they might even come to blows because they get so excited. But the thing is, they're really talking about themselves. And so it's not about the team. They always identify with a team that is displaying some kind of characteristic that they identify with. And the way I've been looking at it, people do the same thing with everything that they talk about. I guess you ladies, when you talk about fashion or shopping or whatever you talk about, it's along the lines that you already have strong feelings for. And if anybody goes against you, well, then you got a good discussion that's probably not going to come to a good end. It's like a train wreck waiting to happen. But anyway, Obama and Boehner, polar opposites in their approach to life, on their cosmology in life. As individuals, Obama is liberal, he's charismatic, and he's looking towards the future. That's the big picture outline.
Mm-hmm.
Boehner is conservative, he's controlling, and these aren't negative things. I'm just putting out that these are just the facts. So you make up your mind how it's going to go when you're listening to it. And he's used to controlling things, getting things to go his way. And if, for those of you who don't know, he's a little bit older than Obama, so he probably thinks that he knows more too. Both of them are leaders. Both of them have a pretty good following in their camps. And Mr. Boehner is not above doing things behind closed doors. And I'm sure Obama is the same way. He's the president. He's got to be that way. But Boehner he's really trying to hold on to the financial side of things. And what's going on there is so big, we're not even going to open that can of worms and start talking about it.
So you said Obama's trying to hold on to the financial side? That's what you just said?
So Boehner is.
Oh,
okay. He's trying to control it from behind the scenes, but he's not in a good place, and he's getting exposed pretty good because he's really stopping the wheels of change that want to come in.
Oh.
And he's going to have to capitulate to it eventually, but he's going to put up a fight as long as he can until he can't. Because that's the type of person he is. He doesn't want to let go. He's a Scorpio. He's like, I got to control this, and if I don't control it, somebody got to die. Figuratively speaking. That's right. Figuratively speaking.
So I'm out. So he's a Scorpio. What's Obama?
He's a Leo, so we got a square there too. They're right angles on how they look at things.
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio is a little bit more socially connected, but you can't see all the connections because that's what Scorpio does. Obama's very charismatic. He's got pretty much the public behind him. And even in a situation, here's something that happened today. I was listening, I heard it on the news, and take it with a grain of salt what you hear. The Republicans have done a very good marketing job on making people not want Obamacare. The website opened up either today or yesterday, and so many people went to it, it crashed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right, so people were calling in all mad, blah, 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 blah. Now, the thing is, on the website, it's not called Obamacare because that's just like its nickname, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they asked the question, they asked the people, what did they think about it? And they said, well, there's a whole lot of weight and stuff was broken, blah, 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 blah. So they said, well, for those of you who got in, what did you think about it? And they said, oh, it was great. It was good. They said, oh. And they said, well, what do you think about Obamacare? And they said, I hate it. Now, this is what we're dealing with, not just in the political situation, but in our lives. Marketing goes out there and convinces you that something is like this. You don't know what they're talking about because you don't talk political talk anyway. But what they're telling you is, once you find out what it actually is nothing like they told you it was, but you don't know because you think they're two different things. And they're talking about the same thing. So just like these people think Obamacare is going to rip them off, when they actually went through the practice of doing stuff online, they thought it was great. But they still don't know it's Obamacare. Now, you go figure that one out. But that's where we are as a people.
It's not what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, just like Boehner's so good that, well, at least he likes to think he's so good that people are believing him. And according to the questions they were asking online, that people do believe him. He sold them that Obamacare is terrible. But when people actually went through the process, they thought it was great because they didn't know it was Obamacare. Had a different name on the website.
It's not what it looks like. Never what it looked like.
There it is.
It's not what it looks like.
Not when you're dealing with a Scorpio. Now, here's the 401 on everybody else. We had a new moon Friday in Libra. Woo-hoo.
Okay, so the new moon was in Libra.
Beginnings, good people.
Beginnings.
And the symbol for it is coming out of the darkness into the light. It's a group of coal miners coming out of the mines, coming out into the light. So get that image in your mind. You see all these guys, they've been working all day deep down in the earth, digging for something. And their work brings it up. But
come out of the darkness into the light.
There you go. They've been working in the dark a long time, and now they're coming out into the light. Whatever the symbol is saying to you, I'm going to give you this little image to get you to looking in this direction. Coming from the darkness into the light is about focusing on a change in relationships. Whatever relationships you have, whatever you see when you hear the word relationship, whether it's with a man or a woman, a job situation, children, blah, 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 relationships encounter everything. Your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, all these things are now open to be changed. And this is running parallel to the political thing we were talking about.
Like you just said, wheels of change, and that's what we all been talking about. It's time for each individual, as we say on this show, moves, mental observation view is essential for success.
Hit it, girl. Hit it. So we can continue on.
And so David said it's a good time. We're coming up out of the dark. We're coming up out of our cocoons, people. We get ready to be like a butterfly coming into the light. So step out of disease care. Now go ahead, David. And don't worry about Obamacare. Don't worry about insurance. Have assurance in knowing who you are. But go ahead, David.
Boom, shakaloo. Say, get ready.
Get ready. Coming out of the dark.
Temptations coming down the road.
I know that's right. Go ahead, David.
All right,
so what does it say to us? What does it say to us? Go ahead.
This weekend is probably pretty deep for everybody. So the moon is in Scorpio, along with Saturn. Saturn is the planet that is a symbol for limitations and control.
You say limitations. You say limitations and control.
Yes.
Okay. You say so. It's going to be deep. You mean deep? What do you mean by deep? Dense, deep, down. What do you mean?
Like these guys coming out of the coal mine.
Oh, okay. All right. Deep.
Coming from a deep place.
We're talking about deep down in the subconscious minds. No, let me. I'm just trying to bring it into. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, that's where all the riches are. And
right.
So put that beside your deepness. Say if you can only go as high as you go low. Say the measure of how deep you go is going to be the measure of how high you can go. So it's about testing your extremes. How far can you go this way? You can only go that much distance the opposite direction too. Mm-hmm. So if you only go just a little below the surface, you're only going to rise just a little above the surface.
Okay.
And so if you're going to go all the way. Go as far as you can.
Go all the way. Stop.
Yeah, you're here to live this life completely. What are you holding back for? What are you saving for? In the newness of a new moon, it says, the sky is the limit. Say the only limitation that you have is yourself. The catch-22 is that you're coming out of a dark place, and so you're used to moving very cautiously, very slowly. I got to be sure about this. I got to be sure about that. And when you first come out into the light, it's kind of blinding. You can't see in the light any too much better than you did when you were in the dark. And so you have this dual nature, which is we're very used to on this plane anyway. We're all about duality. But it's about bringing these two things into one. And it's all about values and relationships. Now, here's the catch-22. I'm going to drop a little bomb on you. And sometimes I talk to people and they kind of look at me like deer in headlights. They say, why you got to go there?
Mm-hmm.
The relationship factor that we really need now, because we're sliding a little behind times in what we need to do to focus on who we are, finding out who we are. Like, I know there are a lot of conscious groups that think they know who they are, but I believe they're a little bit short. And the reason I believe that is because I'm open to being corrected, too. So anybody wants to call in and tell me, please do. If you're not talking to your ancestors and people that you know recently that have passed over, and I mean having a real communication, then you're not getting all the information that's out there for you to get to make the changes that you need to make. And they say, what? Are you talking about talking to dead people? The so-called dead people. They're here around us all the time. We do not see them. Why don't we see them? Because we're so focused on
the material.
The
material realm that you don't know about the energetic self.
That physical world. Like, now, we can break it down a little bit to help you understand it. Every night when you go to bed, you know, you see yourself in the bed. Your body's lying there. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before in some of our astrology talks. You have physical body, etheric body, astral body, and spirit body. The etheric body never goes to sleep. There's always something going on. But when it goes into the spirit world, your waking consciousness goes to sleep. You don't see what's happening in the spiritual world, except sometimes people remember, I had a dream. But they don't understand what the dream means most of the time. And most of the time, almost 98% of the time, they can only remember part of the dream. This is how little we know ourselves, because when you wake up the next day, everything that happened from the time you went to sleep to the time you wake up, you don't remember. You don't have a clue what happened. If somebody was trying to talk to you, you don't know. In fact, you did have a conversation with a bunch of people, but you don't remember it at all. So you just start the next day just like none of that stuff in the middle happened. Give you a comparison of that. And you can usually do things with nature to find out how many seeds that fall from the trees and from the flowers do you think actually come to seed to make another plant. There are goggles of them that never come to seed. There's a very small percentage of seeds that actually take root and grow into plants. And it's the same thing with things in our life. We plan to do all these things. We plan to say all these things. We have all these plans, but they don't come to fruition. What happens to them? Those are real thoughts. We never think about it, though. We just let it go. Same thing is happening in that dream. You're in the spirit world, communing with your ancestors, communing with people who are karmically connected with you, and you don't know about it at all. And then you wake up the next day and think you're conscious. What I'm telling you is, people, even when you're awake, you're asleep in your feelings. Your feelings are living a dream. You think things are happening to you. You think you're sick. You think you're mad. You think you're happy. You're making it all up. Now, these are the things that I told you that might be challenging to you, and I don't want you to react against them just yet. I just want you to look at them, because we're just putting it out there as information. We're not giving you a doctrine that you have to believe in or a dogma that you got to believe in. We're just putting it out there as information.
One of the questions that came through was because on one of the prior shows you talked about feelings. So I think I put it out on Facebook with the message to you, because someone wanted to know, does the way you feel have anything to do with the universe?
For you, it does. The universe doesn't care. The universe could give a kitty about how you feel, because the universe knows that how you feel isn't how you really feel. Spirit knows the truth. You know the truth, too, as soon as you wake up. But you got to wake up first. If you believe the things that happen in your life are real and true, you got a little ways to go. I mean, just take anybody that you know. How well do you know them? Take somebody that you think you've known for a long time. Is there anything about them that you don't know? I'm betting there's a ton of stuff about them you don't know that you never even think about, because you don't show that part of yourself to people.
Wow. And we're talking about being vulnerable, because I think that's what Emmanuel put out on his forecast. So I just want to remind people that, I know this seems like a strange show tonight, but you are tuned into Health Talk, Health Wise. What's your illusion? What's your reality? It is talking about conscious healthcare talk. You
Absolutely.
can put it all together and see how this consciousness works for you, because like David said, that you're coming up out of the darkness into the light, and you'll be blinded in the beginning, but you want to keep moving through that and know that you're coming into something new, because the wheels of change are in effect for all relationships. But the main one is the relationship that you are having with yourself, and knowing who you are, and knowing what's being created, and knowing what's all around you. Is that what you're saying, David? I know Rachel probably want to come in. I know Rachel over there saying, I got my hand up 50,000 times over here on Skype. I want to come in. I haven't even said hi to David.
That's exactly what we're saying. To know yourself, you're going to have to start using your thinking apparatus, and that's just the beginning, because most of us, the ones of us that think, and we're pretty quick at it, we don't remember things too well. When we grasp something very quickly, we forget it just as quickly. The rest of us who don't think that much, whatever we do think about, we usually hold on to. And so we have that duality going on that we need to find a balance to and stop going back and forth between it. But thinking is the only thing that you can do that you know that you're doing. Like, you may not be clear about how you're feeling. Like, you come in a room, you feel something, you're not sure what it is. You know whether you like it or not, but you don't know what it is that you're feeling. The only way that you can get clear on that feeling is to use your thinking. Because your thinking, is crystal clear. You know when you're thinking, you know exactly what you're thinking. You may not always say it, but you know what it is. So you got to use that.
David, somebody's saying, what is thinking? I'm thinking all the time, so what is he talking about? You got to use your thinking.
They say
I'm using my thinking now. I said, I'm using my thinking now. I'm thinking all the time. So what do you mean I got to use my thinking? What thinking are you talking about?
Well, let's put it beside her feelings. Is she feeling all the time? That's not a rhetorical question. I mean, it's a rhetorical. She doesn't have to answer it for the radio, but she has to answer it for herself. Mm-hmm. Is she feeling all the time, or is she thinking all the time? Because I think it's pretty challenging to do both of them. Not that you can't, but I haven't met too many people that are thinking and feeling at the same time.
Mm.
Like, sometimes you can feel something's coming. You don't know what it is. But the fact that you start thinking about it shows that your thinking follows your feeling. So that's what I'm asking the individual. That's what your thinking is, and it's separate from your feeling. They're definitely in two different camps. And people usually put an emphasis on one or the other. For our people, we are pretty strong in the feeling area. You do something to somebody, they don't have to think about it, because they get a feeling and they're going to react to you right away. And it doesn't take a thought for them to do that, because their feelings say, I got this. Bam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our youth are doing. They're reacting to their feelings because they don't know very much about thinking. We haven't taught them. This is where the older generation is failing them. We're not having conversations with them to get their thinking in track. They think they're thinking just like the young lady probably told you, I'm thinking all the time. No, they're not thinking, they're feeling. And there's a definite line that separates feelings and thinking. You know, if
feelings
you go to
and thinking. Mm-hmm. You said a definite line.
In astrology, they have 4 elements: earth, wind, fire, and water.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's a demarcation, water and air are not the same. They don't mix together. They're clearly at odds with one another, at least on the physical plane. I think everybody would agree with that. And air is the element that represents thinking. Water is the element that represents feeling. So clearly, water and air is not the same. Can we agree on that?
Can I get an amen? Yes.
We're just dealing with the things that we know about. And we can extend those things, but we got to start with something that we know about so we're all on the same page. So feelings are very, very, and I can't put enough emphasis on this, very strong. We've been working with them for 5,000 years. Yeah, we know about feelings. People say, I feel good. James Brown told us all about that. We can get back to the music.
So who's in their feelings and who's thinking? Obama or what's the other person's name? That'll let you know how much I know. What's his name?
Boehner, he's a feeling person. He's a Scorpio. He's a water sign.
He's a water sign.
Yeah. Obama has Aquarius rising. So he's a thinker. He came into this world to learn how to think, to do things differently. Not just for the presidency, but just for his life development. He's always doing that, and he's doing it on the stage because he's a Leo. He's really a Leo, so he's putting that thinking apparatus in place to serve the show that he's putting on. The other guy is a Scorpio. He's water sign. He's feeling stuff, so he's reacting to what he doesn't like, the way he feels, what's going on with Obama. He's got, they didn't have a time for him, so I just projected one so I could compare their charts together and tell you all a little bit about it. And I came up with an earth sign rising. Whether he does or not, we'll have to find out because I haven't found anybody with time he was born. But if he is, then he's going to try to be practically oriented to getting his feelings satisfied. And at least from the news reports that we see, that it looks like how he's operating. He feels a certain way, and he's not going to budge off of that.
So maybe that's why people are feeling the way they're feeling based on the sign and element that go with them. But community and family, you are listening to Health Talk Health Wise. What's your illusion? What's your reality? Conscious Health Can Talk with Dr. K and friends. Rachel Pope. We ain't heard much from Rachel, but we're going to let Rachel come in and talk after we take this commercial break. I'm going to let her greet David and share with David. And remember, you too can call in. And I do have 2 birthdays, David, that people ask me to ask you about. But you can call in if you like, 310-928-7733. And just maybe you might want to think how you're thinking, to think how you're feeling, and how you're feeling to feel how you think, and just let go of all of this and be stress and worry free and love thyself. Coming up is a commercial for your family. Thank you for tuning in. Is it time for a new approach to your health care? Are you ready to leave the dark ages of disease care management and pharmaceuticals? If your answer is yes, get ready to relearn, rethink, and rewrite your personal health care prescription plan with Dr. K. She is a certified lenthologist and Nest health care provider, sharing the new science of information as medicine and cellular ecology. Did you know that the field of epigenetics states that you are more than just your genes, and those genes do not control your biology? Yes, that's correct. Schedule a Skype, phone, or office visit with Dr. K and get on board the friendship train to healthcare freedom. 202-248-7749. That's 202-248-7749. Visit us on the web, forsellelife.com. the number 4, the words cell, CELLLIFE.com. Is it? That's right, family. You are tuned into Health Talk Health Wise. What's your illusion? What's your reality? Conscious Healthcare Talk with Dr. K and friends. And I want to remind our community in Washington, D.C. and out in California that we are going to be bringing Tim Morrow to the Washington, D.C. area for our Conscious Self-Healthcare Awareness Workshop. And that's going to be in November the 9th at 10 to 2 at the Arc. And Tim is going to be sharing with you how he actually kicked prostate cancer to the curb from forever and all diseases. Tim has a show right here on Interlight Radio called the University of Common Sense. And what Tim did was he found his common sense. So I guess Tim did a whole lot of thinking 40-something years ago when they told him that he had prostate cancer and decided not to follow their way or their treatment after 5 years of doing so, correct his prostate issue for life. And at 60 years old, he had his daughter, and now he's 80, and he doesn't just have the physique and the body of a young man of 40, but his biological clock is 40. So he's coming to Washington, D.C. to share with people how you can let go of disease thinking, take back your own thinking, and know how to take care of your body. So, Rachel, come on in and say hi to David.
Hello, David. How are you?
Couldn't be better.
Yeah, Karen, I was back there raising my hand, and I was like, wow, this is really getting deep. I was trying to catch up with the thinking. But, David, I have raised my hand up concerned about the dreaming component, and it made me... Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. I was... had my hand up concerned about when he was speaking about dreams and the ancestors and so on, and it made me think about my grandmother appearing in my dream, and this was doing when my mother took sick, but she didn't tell me at the time. So I see my grandma with her face in front of me, but the lips were not moving, but I can hear her speak to me. And she said, baby, everything will be all right. And she had this beautiful brown complexion skin, like Dr. K is so pretty. And I was like, wow. I said, okay, what does this mean? And so I called my mom to share the dream and realized my mom was telling me that she was home for 2 weeks with a headache and so on. And I shared a dream with her, and then I called a nurse and asked her to go check her out for me. And then I showed up and kind of found out she had this tumor right in the spot where my grandma was positioned in front of me with the forehead. So they had to cut her skull from one temple to the other to remove, the tumor. And so that came to me concerned about what you mentioned, concerned about ancestor. My grandmother was passed and gone years ago, a long time ago. But she shows up to me a lot and along with other relatives in my dreams. And I do take them serious.
Excellent. So, David, the message that I'm hearing that you're giving the community is about coming up out of the dark. So people are coming up out of this dark, coming into the light, coming up out of their cocoon, and they're being somewhat blinded a little bit. And it may make them step back a little bit. What can you suggest to them to keep them moving through the light? In their thinking?
The first thing, we can use Rachel's dream as a template.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
She has the connection with someone who's passed over to the other side, and that person came and was a bridge to give her information that everything is all right. Now, what Rachel didn't understand, and this is the thing about spirit world, it works pretty much in reverse, and so this is where we're going to have to start thinking. The catch-22 is in the daytime, you think in a logical fashion. In your dream world, things don't always come in logical sequence, you know. Left isn't always right, up isn't always down. Things happen pretty quickly. You go from one scene to another. But the fact is, what's really going on is all of that happens at the same time. And to our logical mind, this is why dreams are so confounding to people. We get pretty confused and say it was a nightmare or it didn't make any sense. But it makes sense according to who you are spiritually. And this is how far most of us are away from who we really are. Because if we knew who we were, we'd understand what the dream was saying right away. But since it's coming in a different language, it's not very clear to us. And so what we do, and there's nothing wrong with this because we get a lot of information from this, we try to translate the spirit language over to our daytime language. So if you didn't know a foreign language and you started talking to somebody else, how would you translate what they're saying to you?
I go by one of them translators.
See,
Let me stop. Go ahead, Dave.
You think you're playing, but that's for real. That's a good thought. Because what most people do is they try to figure out what their dream meant. And they take their thoughts from the daytime, which have nothing to do with what's going on in the dream, and they try to make it make sense. But the dream doesn't translate like that because it's in another language. Totally different language. Now, there's different ways you can break the dream down. We don't have a lot of time to get into that tonight. But one of them is, instead of trying to translate the dream, what would happen if you would just look at it? Just look at the things that happen and let that work on your thought process without you trying to figure out, what does that mean? What does this mean? Is it good? Is it bad? Just look at it and see what comes. And this is how you start acclimatizing the way your mind works to receive what the spirit wants to give you. Here's the other caveat. In a dream, when the person is speaking, it was like with Rachel, she couldn't see her lips move, but she got the information because the information that she got really came from her. That was her talking to her grandma. Now, in order to hear what her grandma says, she has to listen. She has to listen very closely because it's going to be when she thinks she's talking, that's her grandmother talking back to her. And this is how a dream works in reverse to the way that we naturally think. And that's just the first tip. And that's why I'm just putting it out there. We have to learn how to think.
Somebody said they're going to go get a Google translator.
I don't think Google understands the dream world, but good luck with that.
Now, I have a question.
Google knows it all.
I have another
Google's never
question.
been asleep.
You better
How would they know?
You better Google your own mind.
So I have a question for
Okay, go
David
ahead.
pertaining to when people say deja vu and they had a dream and it actually came true, the familiar situation. I've been here before. Explain that to the public.
That's
I can give you tonight's an information night. It doesn't have to be an explanation. Remember, I'm not doctrinal or full of dogma. I'm just putting information out there for you to look at. And if it works for you, then that's good.
Well, that's what this show is all about.
There we go. Deja vu. This is really a spiritual concept because we get into the rut of thinking that time only goes one way. We think that space is limited. This is natural because we see ourselves as physical beings, not as spiritual beings. So what time actually is, all time is counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a measurement. What we call time is just a measurement of something. We don't know what it's a measurement of, but we know we're counting. Now, it's good to start counting because it gets you oriented and looking in the right direction. But if you just keep counting, you never get to what you want to get to because you can go on into infinity, right? And that's not what you were aiming at. You're trying to find out something. So there's a such thing as negative numbers. So you can count backwards too. So if you can count backwards, you can measure backwards. And if you can measure backwards, since you've been doing this measurement of time always in one direction, why can't you do it in the other direction? Except for natural science says that you can't, but natural science tells you a lot of things that they change tomorrow and the next day, the next day, the next day, because they keep finding out stuff that you already know. And you would know it ahead of them if you would use your mind to start thinking instead of just listening to what somebody's telling you. And this is the same kind of little black hole that we fell into with religion. Religion is a great thing, but you can't listen to what somebody else says and take it as the truth. You have to investigate yourself. You have to do the research. That's part of finding out who you are. You haven't gotten away from the deja vu thing. Spiritually, you've been in a place. You've been everywhere. Spirit is everywhere. And for a flash second, it comes back to you. Your consciousness links up. Your daytime consciousness links up with your nighttime consciousness, but you don't realize that's what's happening. You always say, that's what we say, what just happened? That's the deja vu experience.
Wow. So, David. Do I have somebody live? David.
Yeah, that was Dorita.
Oh, tell Reverend Dorita. Oh, you are actually at the Institute of Spiritual Enlightenment.
Right, we're still up there.
Whoa, tell Reverend Dorita we said hello.
We got you covered.
So, David, so the beginning, you said this moon was all about beginnings. So, and all that you shared from talking about the political to where we are right now and coming up out of the dark into the light, being aware about feelings and thinking. So the message that a person should take away for this period right now is what?
It's the same message that you give and I give all the time. Know thyself. And you say, well, how do I do that? What is that? And we're saying it's paying attention to everything that happens, perceiving all that's happening around you. When you cross the street, do you see yourself crossing the street, or is your mind someplace else? When you feel something, do you know exactly what that feeling is? Give it a definition. That's what we're asking. Get to know yourself better.
Talk about the wheels of changing. So when people say, know thyself and looking at themselves, they need to consider making a change. The change that people need to consider, you're saying, is to think for themselves. Right. Think
Absolutely.
From your higher self. Think.
That's a great start. Great start. Now, for people who are already thinking, we will add to you, are your thoughts warm? Because thinking has a tendency to go cold. When you think about cool air, cool thinking, maybe we need to light a fire under those cool thoughts and warm them up and see if they do the same thing as when they were cold. Because a cold thought that can cut somebody pretty deep. Even though you're thinking, you want to keep it warm, just like your heart.
Wow. So we're going to say heart to heart on that one. So, David.
Balance is the key. Balance is the key.
Balance is always the key. So, David, how can individuals reach you again if they would like to have a reading or share with you further? Anything happening? You doing any workshops anywhere?
I'm getting ready to start another class at ISE. Probably it's going to be in 2 weeks, but we'll put it out through Facebook and put it out through you when it's going to happen.
Okay.
up here.
And ISE stands for what?
Institute of Spiritual Enlightenment.
And we're located where?
We're
6203 203 3rd Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C.
You're on it. You're on it. 6230.
6230. I do. Okay. I see 6230. Okay. Cool. 62. Number 5. And the phone number there, David?
202-291-5282.
And one more time?
202-291-5282.
David, the wizard. David, thank you so very much for joining us on Health Talk Health Wise and giving a whole new twist.
Mm-hmm.
Always a joy and a pleasure.
So come and get on board our friendship train. So I got some little things to share on closing out. Our next guest coming up next week, and we're changing the format of the show, community, and I want to let everybody know that. As David says, the will of change is coming through, and things are changing for me as well. Most people know that I have a book coming out, Emancipate Yourself from Medical Mental Slavery. And that book is talking about moving from disease care to conscious self-health care. And it's all about how you can consider making conscious moves. Mental observation view is essential for success. I can almost say the book was co-written with me with Light Energy John Christopher, because in the book I have been given the permission to translate 2 conversations that I've had with JC, and I asked Jamila to be the to write the foreword for the book, and she in turn got a message from JC that JC wanted to write the foreword to the book. And I'm just telling you, the foreword to the book that he just wrote is powerful information to assist you with knowing that disease does not exist and how divine you are and what David is talking about. So that book is coming out, and through all this moving forward and making these transitions with myself, so the format of the show is going to change. We're going to still do what we do here, talk about conscious self-health care, but it's all about heart-to-heart living. So the show is going to be called Heart-to-Heart Living with Dr. K, and we're talking about, can you love it all, no matter what it is? No matter what you think it is, it's never what it looks like. So can you love it all to move through it? So we asking the questions, are you in the zone or are you out of the zone? And we're going to be sharing with you insights from Light Energy John Christopher to assist us with moving forward and knowing our divine self and being able to stand in our knowingness right here on planet Earth as we make this great shift to the we energy. So in closing, Rach, what you want to say? You got about a second.
Well, I just want to let people know if they want me to come to their health fairs to reach out and touch. They can reach me at 202-679-1360. And I will be at Faith Temple number 2 Community Health Fair this Saturday. And just come on down and get your free relaxation. And hey, love yourself, know thyself.
How can they reach you, Rach?
202-679-1360. They can reach me on Facebook under Rachel Pope.
And I just want to say for Wanda Whitaker, Rachel, you know I get an echo when you're on the line. I just want to say for Wanda Whitaker, who is getting prepared for the forum tonight in San Francisco, she's going to be at the Art Gallery 1307, and that's located at 1307 Fillmore Street Northwest. There's going to be a forum or panel discussion. She has MDs, NDs, different people with different modalities, and they all coming together as one and talking about how we can move forward to conscious self-health care, totally leaving the disease industry behind. It's a part of the old paradigm and the old thinking. And so, you know, for the past 4 weeks, I have been doing a show on a radio show called Naked Soul Radio with Abra Tawaba. It has been a fantastic 4 weeks doing that show with her. And so she is going to be a guest on my show next week. So Abra is the founder and owner of Arbor's Retreat and Wellness Center in Florida. And she's going to talk about her health journey from drug addiction to moving past recovery to victorious, where she's now have her whole retreat in Florida and how she made it through conscious thinking and not just saying one day at a time. So tune in next week, family. We want to thank you. We love you. We're moving forward. You have made this shift with us. That's why we're moving to Heart Radio with Dr. K and you, and sharing the messages from Light Energy John Christopher. So come on and get on board our train. It's Heart to Heart. Thank you, David. We love you. We appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Telling people to step up out of the dark. Come on into the light. Woo! Come out of that cocoon.
Everybody get on, you don't need to ride, you don't need no ticket. Everybody get on, everybody get on, keep on talking about the friendship train. Everybody, take a handshake. Don't you know I'm talking about the friendship?
Greetings and love and kindness, family. This is Dr. K. Thank you so very much for tuning in to Health Talk Health-Wise. What's your illusion? What's your reality? Conscious Healthcare Talk with Dr. K and friends. Right here, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Look forward to seeing and hearing from you on next Tuesday. Become our friend on Facebook, Dr. Karen Davis-Foulks, and like our page, Emancipate Yourself from Medical Mental Slavery. Tune into our YouTube channel, K Davis F, and visit our website, www.4celllife.com. We also invite you to tune into Frank Talk Real Talk with host Reverend Dorita Dixon every Monday at 7:30 p.m. And the Sage and Baby Boomer Show with host Ayo Handy Kendi. That's every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right back to Health Talk Health-Wise every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m.